Good evening, and welcome to Westchester County's 2023 Black History Month celebration, Trailblazers, Preserving Our Legacy. My name is Ken Jenkins, Deputy County Executive for Westchester County, and thank you for joining us this evening. It's my honor to serve as your Master of Ceremonies this evening and welcome you to the historic Jay Heritage Center here in Rye. If you are watching the Trailblazers ceremony live on Facebook, please like and share our live stream with your friends. The 23-acre Jay Estate, a National Historic Landmark and a stop on Westchester County's African American Heritage Trail, was once home to our American founding father, John Jay. Jay was one of our nation's greatest peacemakers and an anti-slave advocate. In 1792, Jay said, "Every man of every color and description has a natural right to freedom." It was from this property in Rye that John Jay once stood, envisioning the abolition of slavery and a new and better life for all American people. Tonight, we are joined together virtually to recognize two remarkable African American citizens who are being honored for their outstanding contributions to Westchester County. It's important now, more than ever, that we recognize the prominent role African Americans have played in shaping our county and country's history. Let us thank tonight's honorees for their public service, their commitment to giving back, and the generous use of their talent, which together will ensure that the legacies of these trailblazers who came before us are never forgotten. I want to begin tonight's program with our Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. It is now my honor to recognize our great friend Andromeda Toure for her rendition of the Negro National Anthem, Lift Every Voice and Sing.
Lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring, ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise high as the listening skies. Let it resound loud as the rolling sea. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us. Facing the rising sun of a new day begun, let us march on till victory is won.
It is now my honor to introduce Westchester County Executive George Latimer for his greetings.
Hi, I'm Westchester County Executive George Latimer. Thank you for joining us tonight for Westchester County's annual Black History Month celebration, Trailblazers, Preserving Our Legacy. I'd like to start out by thanking the members of our African American Advisory Board and Chair of the Board, Barbara Edwards. Because of you, this fantastic event is made possible year after year. The Trailblazers Awards ceremony was established more than 20 years ago as a way to recognize outstanding African American leaders in our county for their professional accomplishments and their community efforts toward making Westchester a better place for all of us. Each year, our nation marks the month of February as a time to honor, recognize, and learn from the history and influence of African American culture. Westchester County is home to rich African American history itself and places of historical significance. Our African American Heritage Trail was created in 2004 to help preserve those historic landmarks that tell the stories of Black men and women who have made significant contributions to our home communities. Tonight, we will honor those who are using their talents and efforts to blaze the trail for the generations that will follow them. I want to commend C. Douglas Dixon and Dr. Valerie Mason Cunningham for their efforts in the areas of civic engagement and economic development in Westchester County. These two individuals have had extraordinarily successful careers along two different paths, but they have both made it a point to help guide, mentor, inspire, and give back to many others along the way. Congratulations to you both on becoming Westchester County Trailblazers in 2023. It is crucial that we attend these types of ceremonies to learn something new about the African American history and culture and carry that newfound knowledge and understanding with us throughout the year. Congratulations once again to all of our honorees, and thank you for the contributions you have made to Westchester County. Have a wonderful evening.
Thank you, County Executive Latimer, for those inspiring words. It is now my pleasure to introduce the Chair of the African American Advisory Board, Barbara Edwards, for her greetings.
Good evening. I bring you greetings on behalf of the African American Advisory Board. We're happy that you have joined us this evening for another celebration of Black history and the Trailblazers we are honoring. Every year, Black History Month inspires a renewed recognition and appreciation for the treasured legacy of the African American community with an eye toward the future. It is the spirit of this commemoration that fuels ongoing advocacy while drawing from lessons of our past. Delving into our history has become an important validation to ignite action to advance important social justice and equity. This month is also a time to acknowledge African American champions who have helped to enrich the quality of life while serving as a significant source of inspiration to us all. Because the story of Black people in America is inextricably linked to the American story, it is our moral imperative to tell the truth about our past in effort to reconcile this nation's history of oppression. Tonight, we are privileged to recognize two outstanding Westchester County citizens who have invested their time, talent, and treasure over the years in making a difference in the lives of others. Their contributions have added substantially to the African American legacy in our communities. We want Valerie Mason Cunningham and C. Douglas Dixon to know how grateful we are for their unselfish investment in our communities. There is no question that they are trailblazers, deserving our recognition and honor. Westchester County is rich in African American history and offers interesting as well as compelling sites that represent the contributions people of African descent have made to our unique American history. Many of these sites are reflected on the African American Heritage Trail, which was established by the African American Advisory Board. I am proud to announce that we've added 2 new sites to the African American Heritage Trail. They are the Enslaved Africans Rain Garden, which is an exhibition of 5 life-size bronze sculptures depicting freed slaves. This exhibition is the vision of Yonkers artist Vinnie Bagwell, who was honored as a trailblazer by the African American Advisory Board in 2017. The sculptures help us to remember the men, women, and children who were stripped of their human rights and were among the first to be freed 64 years before the Emancipation Proclamation. The sculptures can be found at 20 Water Grant Street along the Yonkers waterfront. The other site added to the African American Heritage Trail is St. Francis AME Zion Church in Port Chester. We encourage you to pick up a brochure from the Westchester County Tourism Department so that you might become more familiar with all the sites on the African American Heritage Trail. The trail was established based on the African American Advisory Board's belief and convictions that it is our responsibility to ensure that Westchester citizens have access to resources and education that accurately depicts African American history. The African American Advisory Board's main concentration centers around very deliberate and focused research of 4 areas affecting the quality of life of African Americans in Westchester County. These areas of focus continue to include economic development, education, housing, health, and human services. Our findings will be documented in a report entitled Blueprint for Change, which will reflect our assessment of quality of life issues in the African American community, along with recommendations to the county executive and county legislators to address these concerns. Again, we are honored that you have joined us this evening and hope that you will enjoy and be inspired by this Trailblazers program.
Thank you, Barbara. Now we will hear from the chair of the Westchester County Board of Legislators, the Honorable Catherine Borgia.
Good evening. My name is Catherine Borgia, and I'm the chairwoman of the Westchester County Board of Legislators. I'm pleased to be joining you at Westchester County's annual Black History Month celebration, Trailblazers, Preserving Our Legacy. I'd like to thank County Executive George Latimer and Deputy County Executive Ken Jenkins for hosting this important program year after year. Each February, we take time to honor the history and influence of significant African Americans in Westchester County and across the nation. Tonight, we will recognize 2 individuals who have stood out above the rest for their public service and commitment in Westchester County. I want to send my warmest congratulations to C. Douglas Dixon and Dr. Valerie Mason Cunningham, who are being honored in the areas of civic engagement and economic development. C. Douglas Dixon helped establish the largest minority-owned business real estate development company in the state called Hillside Development Corporation. He encouraged and inspired other African American developers to pursue a career in real estate development. Dr. Valerie Mason Cunningham had a long and successful career at Xerox Corporation, but she's also motivated by her deep-rooted passion for helping others. Dr. Mason Cunningham used her skills to help lead Volunteer New York through the pandemic. Congratulations to you both once again on being named Trailblazers in 2023. Thank you all and have a wonderful evening.
Next, we will hear from our host, Suzanne Cleary, president of the J Heritage Center.
Hi, my name is Suzanne Clary. I'm the president of the J Heritage Center, and we're very pleased to welcome you to the J Estate today for this year's Trailblazers Award. Congratulations to all the honorees, and thank you again for holding this event, which is very meaningful to us, at this African American Heritage Trail site. It is our honor and privilege to work with so many of the other trail sites, including the African American Cemetery on North Street. In fact, the exhibit that I'm standing in front of is a collaboration between us, Dave Thomas, the Friends of the African American Cemetery in Rye, about that little known chapter of history where African Americans fought in the Civil War, volunteering against all prejudices, all racism, to support their country and their nation. This exhibit opened last fall and will reopen this spring to the public. It tells the story of the unknown soldiers in the South who fought for their country during the Battle of the Union against the Confederates. But did you know that here in Westchester County, we had black soldiers who also volunteered for their country? And in fact, many of those veterans are buried at the African Cemetery in Rye on North Street. And you can see their stones, the flags that are next to them, the decorations for these incredibly brave soldiers who fought against all odds for their country. I hope you'll visit our site both virtually and in person. Next month we have a Zoom talk with Professor Carrie Greenridge, author of The Grimke Sisters, two black sisters who were active abolitionists, and that program is free and open to the public. And then I also hope you'll come in person when the weather warms up. Thanks to our collaborations with the American Women of African Heritage, the African American Advisory Board, and the African American Men of Westchester, we have these incredibly beautiful, vibrant gardens with vegetable rows, a reflecting pool, an arbor with native plants, and we couldn't have created these green spaces without the help of all of those different partners, and especially Westchester County. So please come back. Enjoy the show. Congratulations to the awardees, and thank you again for visiting us.
Next, I want to introduce you to a very special guest, American sculptor Vinnie Bagwell. Bagwell, who was born in Yonkers, New York, is credited with reframing public art to include historic black images here in Westchester and across the state of New York. Her first public artwork, a bronze statue of Ella Fitzgerald called The First Lady of Jazz, depicts the world-famous singer standing with her arms open as if she is performing. Bagwell's sculpture of Ella made history as the first public artwork completed by an African-American woman to be commissioned by a municipality in the United States. And this past fall, Bagwell completed the Enslaved Africans Rain Garden, the newest stop on Westchester County's African-American Heritage Trail. The garden, which is located in Yonkers, New York, is a compilation of 5 life-size bronze statues that commemorate the legacy of the first enslaved African Americans to be manumitted or freed in the United States. Let's hear some more about Vinnie Bagwell and her story in the public art industry.
It is time to unlearn hate. That is the purpose of my work. To help people to unlearn hate. When you begin to hear the stories, you can relate to them because you're a human being. I'm Vinnie Bagwell, and I create art for public places about marginalized people of color. I discovered sculpting, and it was like magic, and the rest is kind of history. It's not as to make something that's pretty. I want it to speak. I want it to speak volumes. I came up with a technique of creating a central sculpture, and then I use bas-relief to extend the narrative. It also makes you engage the piece. You have to walk around it and look for, what is she trying to say? Where's the story? What does that mean? I looked around my community, and all I saw was dead presidents and war heroes. I didn't see any artwork about people of color. I didn't see any artwork about women. I didn't see any artists. I didn't see anything. And of course, Ella is our greatest claim to fame here. There are a lot of really amazing people that came from Yonkers, but most people, black and white, know Ella Fitzgerald, and she's very well loved. Luckily, she's at the Yonkers Metro North train station, so people coming to Yonkers get to see her, and she's visible. And amazingly, it turned out to be the first sculpture of a contemporary African-American woman to be commissioned by a municipality. There were no sculptures of black women in the United States until I made that sculpture, which sounds crazy, but it was true. I wanted an urban heritage sculpture garden. I wanted a rain garden. The Enslaved Africans Rain Garden should be on the trail. It's a major story. Thank you, George Latimer. It was a no-brainer for him to say, yes, let me help you finish this up. Westchester County made it possible to finish. They paid for construction. So the Enslaved Africans Rain Garden became Isati, an iconic woman carrying a bucket on her head because African women do that. Temple the Boatman, an extraordinary story because These were the most revered enslaved Africans. They weren't even treated like they were enslaved because they knew how to navigate the ocean. Bibi, the godmother, the grandmother, the elder woman. And then there are children, because most of the enslaved Africans that came to New York were children, so you have a boy and a girl. Most of the public art that you see in this country, 99% of it is done by white men. Less than 5% is done by women. And less than all that is done by black people. That has to change because we're trying to balance the narrative. And so the enslaved African rain garden was designed to do that for Yonkers, for Westchester, for New York State. I'm trying to humanize people of color. I'm trying to humanize people who were enslaved. They're not slaves. You don't call these people slaves. They were enslaved. These are African people who were ripped from their homes and their families and taken across an ocean to work for the rest of their lives, one generation after another. We're talking about 400 years of enslaving a group of people because of their skin color. The enslaved African's rain garden is taking its place in the link, but there are other links that will be added. There are more stories that are going to be told. So that trail is going to get longer, and I'm proud, and I'm excited. I'm serving a really good purpose. I'm representing my race. And I'm telling our stories because we too made a tremendous contribution to this country. So there's a lot of work to be done. And I'm just really happy to be in a position to do it.
Now it's time for us to move to the awards portion of our program. It is my pleasure to announce our first Trailblazer this year, C. Douglas Dixon. Tonight, Mr. Dixon is receiving the Vernon E. Jordan Jr. Award for Civic Engagement. A successful lawyer, real estate mogul, philanthropist, and major donor for scholarships and youth programs in Westchester, Mr. Dixon has made it his life's mission to give back to those in need. Congratulations, Mr. Dixon, on receiving this prestigious award.
When I was a kid, there were a couple of people in my family who gave me very sound advice that I followed to this day. My grandmother, who was a person of very small means, once told me that whatever I have, because I don't have much, I will share with you. That interest in sharing, that interest in seeking to help other people became a family tradition. My father, who was a financial whiz, always encouraged me to invest my money. He said, invest in the stock market, invest in solid businesses, because that's the way you can accumulate wealth. And if you do make serious money, never forget there are others who are coming up behind you. My family moved to New Rochelle when I was 5. I attended Mayflower School, which is now a dorm on Iona College's campus. I also attended Albert Leonard Junior High School and New Rochelle High School. After graduating from high school, I went to the University of Cincinnati. And after graduating from the University of Cincinnati, I went to Georgetown University Law Center. I became a part of a large real estate development company called Hillside Realty, Hillside Management. These were the two largest African-American owned real estate development companies back in the 80s. The very first project that we decided to embark on was to build a mini mall on this site. Now you can see it's a Tesla dealership. There just wasn't anybody African-American developing any sites in any place. With our success, several people began to get in the real estate development market and have told us that we inspired them to do that. We constructed 4 buildings with 22 units in each building. Everything was done in such a professional way. That's why everybody wanted to live here. For anybody to be successful in any particular area that they wish to pursue, you have to have a fine team behind you. And I'm lucky. I have a wife that's been with me for 50 years, my son, my daughter, and I have a number of colleagues, a number of relationships and family that have all been very supportive of what I've done and how I've done it. I understand that I can talk or I can act. And I act. In my father's name, I set up the Arthur S. Dixon Family Foundation. The Arthur S. Dixon Family Foundation has provided a number of scholarships to college-bound students. I also had the chance to help create the African American Men of Westchester. It addresses issues of importance to the African American community. I'm so proud of my family and what they've done and how they've done it. My wife is a former professor at Hunter College. She's now retired because I said, when I retire, you should retire. And she listened to me. She doesn't listen to me often. She listened to me there. It's always good to be recognized in a way that kind of helps you understand that you've done something for somebody. I feel that I'm part of a distinguished club. I mean, really. When you're recognized in the name of Vernon Jordan, you're walking on air. I mean, he is just an incredible human being. Incredible human being. And to even be thought about in the same breath, makes me feel great.
It is now my honor to introduce our second Trailblazer this year, Dr. Valerie Mason Cunningham. Dr. Mason Cunningham is receiving the Madam C.J. Walker Award for Economic Development. Dr. Mason Cunningham has had a long, successful career at Xerox Corporation, where she made her mark as the Vice President of Channel Marketing for North American Operations. But the spirit of volunteerism and giving back to others is Dr. Mason Cunningham's greatest passion. Please join me in congratulating Dr. Mason Cunningham on becoming a Westchester County Trailblazer this year.
My parents were a part of the civil rights movement. My kindergarten year, they were really struggling with integrating us African American students into the school system. And it actually brought the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. to our neighborhood. My father had me on his shoulders right next to the stage when Martin Luther King got out of that limousine to come up and speak to the audience. Family was important. We went to a Baptist church in Long Island. I grew up in that church. I was christened in that church. I got married in that church. And my son was also christened in that church. I was very fortunate to be accepted to Spelman College, which is a historical Black college and university down in Atlanta, Georgia. I actually loved that because it was an environment that I was comfortable with, but yet it pushed me because these were Black students that were excelling in everything that they did. I had a 38-year career at Xerox. I went all over the globe in many of the responsibilities that I had. And I came up where there wasn't a lot of women, let alone Black women, in executive level positions. I actually was given an assignment probably 4 years into my career as a major account sales manager on Wall Street. And I was the first Black female to hold that position at Xerox Corporation. Xerox was one of the first companies that really recognized diversity mattered, and it mattered from a standpoint of it being a business imperative because the world was changing. But Black women were still not necessarily making the mark that they needed to. One of my customers was working in Westchester County, and he said, I know a nonprofit that could use you on the board. And he introduced me to Volunteer New York. What that did is that also broadened my eyes now to the needs in Westchester County. Took a tour of the campus here at Mercy College, met the president, President Hall, and next thing I knew, they were asking me to think about being a trustee. I was able to deliver the commencement speech to the School of Business in 2020, and that's where I also received my honorary doctorate degree of commercial science. My husband has been my #1 supporter for now 32 years, and he has been on my journey, and he has been my cheerleader, my coach, my mentor, and he has helped me every step of the way. To be called one of Westchester County's Trailblazers is amazing. I just work. I just do. I just am here to help somebody, as my mother said. And if I can help somebody, then my living's not in vain. but all along the way, I'm helping people. And for someone to recognize that I am doing this, even though I'm not here to do it for the recognition, is humbling and amazing for me. I am so grateful.
I want to thank all of you for being part of our 2023 Trailblazers Awards ceremony, Preserving Our Legacy. It was my pleasure to serve as your Master of Ceremonies tonight. We're so happy you could join all of us in honoring these outstanding African American leaders in Westchester. To C. Douglas Dixon and Dr. Valerie Mason Cunningham, we extend our most heartfelt congratulations. Thank you for your professional accomplishments and your community efforts to make Westchester County a better place for us all. I want to thank Suzanne Clary and all of our friends here at the J. Heritage Center for hosting us once again for this wonderful event. I also want to send a special thank you to everyone who joined us at home for our Black History Month celebration. May we continue to honor and remember all the African American citizens who blazed the trails before us and all of those who are making a difference in our lives today. As the great Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. once said, "If I cannot do great things, I can do small things in a great way." I'm Deputy County Executive Ken Jenkins. Thank you all for watching and have a wonderful night.